There's always such good glassware out at Dollar Tree. I found this glass vase and loved the texture on it, and I found a clear plate with the same texture on it. I felt like I could definitely combine the two of these. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use some E6000 along the top of the vase, and then I'll place the plate on top. Now, when you use E6000, you wanna let it dry overnight. That's exactly what I did. For this candle holder, I wanted it to have a see-through black color, and I wasn't sure exactly how to achieve that. So when I was at Walmart, I found a product in the car section called Rust-Oleum Lens Tint. I thought this actually might work, so I used that and sprayed one light coat on the entire piece, and I have to tell you, this works so good to give that see-through look that we see in so many of the high-end pieces. I wanted to add a fun candle to the top of my candle holder, and one of the things I've been noticing in the high-end stores are these square candles. They're really pricey, but I thought, you know what, we could definitely make this. So one of the supplies you're going to need is what we're going to put our candle in, and that's a Tropicana juice container. The reason I like this is after you're done making your candle, it's really easy to tear off because it's paper. So get one of those, you're gonna clean it out, and then cut off the top of the lid. Now for my candle wick and my candle melt, I bought those off of Amazon. I will link them for you down in the description box. And the other thing you're going to need is a pot to burn your candle melt in. Now I have this pot that I use all the time, but you want to use an old pot that you can just use for your candles. Now I wasn't sure exactly how many bags of the candle melt I was going to need. I ended up using 2 for this project. So I took an entire bag and put it into my pot. I used a craft stick to stir it until it was completely melted. Once it was melted, I poured it into my juice container. And then I did the exact same thing with a second bag. I heated that up and made sure it was completely melted, and then poured it into my juice container. Now this is where I'm going to put my candle wick in. So I want my candle wick to be in the middle, so I'm gonna put it down into the middle. Now you need something to kind of hold it in place while it's going to dry. So what I did was I got a craft stick to put on the top, and then I just wrapped some painter's tape around to hold it in place until it was completely dry. I think it maybe took a couple hours to dry, but I went ahead and let it dry overnight just since it was such a large candle before I removed the outer paper. I removed the craft stick from the top, then I cut out the paper along the edge, and this candle looks so high-end, and I love the way it looks on my black candle holder. Dollar Tree is known for having a lot of little figurines, but in higher end stores, a lot of times you'll see figurines, but they're all one color or they're all a certain stone finish. So when I saw this mushroom, I definitely wanted to pick it up. I thought, what if I make this a solid color to make it look a little bit more high end? So when I was shopping for spray paints, I came across this cement spray paint. I thought, this is perfect for my mushroom figurine. So I'm going to spray 2 coats on both sides with this cement spray paint, and it gives just a really matte gray appearance, and I love the way it looks styled in my decor. If you walk down the Crafter Square section, you're probably gonna see all of these fun new rings that they have. These I'd never seen before. They also have this 2-pack of bamboo rings. And if you're wondering, what could I do with these? I have an idea to make a wall art piece. So I'm gonna be using 3 of the larger ones and 2 packs of the smaller bamboo rings. And I wanna create a sculptural wall piece. So I'll start with the larger rings, kind of moving them around and positioning them till I'm happy with them. I'm not gluing anything down yet. I'll add on the smaller rings as well. So one of my tips to do whenever you're creating a wall art piece is to take a picture of it on your phone and then step back and look at that picture. I do this every time I'm putting together wall art because it just gives you a better perspective. It's a smaller snapshot of what you're creating, and there I can see, okay, do I like the way this looks? Do I want to change something, move it around? So that's a great tip whenever you're creating a wall art. Once you're happy with the way it looks, then you're going to glue it down with hot glue. Now to make it look completely cohesive, I sprayed it with 2 coats of black Rust-Oleum. I started on the back. Once that was dry, I turned it over and sprayed the front. You can hang this on a nail on your wall, and I love the way it turned out. I feel like it's a really modern piece and a great use for those bamboo circles. Okay, so stick with me for this next DIY because it's very different, but in the end, this is going to create such a cool accessory for your living room. So you're gonna need 3 Dollar Tree boards. The first board, I'm going to find the center and I'm gonna cut it in half with just my hacksaw. You could use any saw, but this is the one I had in my craft room. So I want to make some concrete cones to go in the top of my board. So to do that, I need to create some holes. So I marked 3 places where I wanted to drill holes on the top of my board just with a pin. Now, if you were on a workbench, you would just use some clamps to hold this down as you were going to drill in it, but I didn't have anything to clamp it to, so I added some screws along the side of my board so it would hold in place as I was drilling. Then I used one of my 1-inch large drill bits to drill holes where I had marked each of those 3 circles. I'm gonna go back to the board that doesn't have any holes on it. I'm gonna put E6000 along the edge. Then with that board I cut in half, I'm going to put those boards on the side. I'll add E6000 to the top of the sideboards and then put the top piece on. I'm gonna put the boards upside down and I'll use some tiny screws on the bottom to just secure it in place. Next, we're going to make the cups that are going to go inside those holes that we just drilled. So I found the best thing to use for this are snow cone paper cups. Now, if you can get paper, that works so much better because you can peel them off later. So trust me, go with the paper. I'll link to the ones I bought down in the description box. I'm also going to be using some Quikrete. So I'll take the Quikrete and I'll put it into a disposable container and mix it with some water. I like to mix my Quikrete until it's about a pudding consistency. Next, I'm going to fill the containers almost all the way up. I left about 1 centimeter up top and I'm gonna fill each of the containers. I wanna make them as level as possible, so I kind of bent down and made sure that they were all about the same level. Let this sit completely overnight. Then you can come back in the next day when it has a chance to harden and you're going to just peel off the paper snow cone liner. You'll take your 3 concrete cones and put them back into the wood piece that you created. And then you're gonna need 3 succulents from Dollar Tree. I'm gonna cut off the stems of the 3 succulents that I'm using. And then I'm gonna use a combination of E6000 and hot glue to hold those on the top of my cones. To make the succulents look a little bit more realistic, I like to add in some moss. So I'm going to use a little bit of moss and just put that along the edges of my succulent where I already have glue. Let that dry completely, and here's a look at how it turned out. Dollar Tree has a plus section at some of their stores where they sell items for $3 and $5. And every time I go shopping at Dollar Tree, I always check it out and see what new items they have. One of the times I went, I found this scallop tray. I thought it was so cool. It was priced at $5 and it was in the Crafter's Square section. So to DIY this tray, I'm gonna be using a medium stain on it. I'm gonna paint the stain on with a foam brush, and then I'll use a paper towel to immediately wipe off any excess. I'm gonna let that stain dry overnight. It's really important to do that when you're going to add additional paint, just to make sure that your paint is able to stick. Now I wanted to add a fun paint technique to really bring out that scallop border. I'm gonna add frog tape to the inside of my tray on the base, and I'll do that all the way around. Next, I wanted to paint a rectangle, so I cut the tape off so that it was nice and straight, and I added a straight row. Then I came through and did the exact same thing on the other side, and then I'm going to cut off another piece of tape and add it to make another straight line. Once I get to the edge, I'll just roll the tape over and place it down, and I'll repeat that step on the other side. I'll do a long piece, and then I'll roll it over and place the tape down. Now my piece is completely ready for paint. Using a foam brush and some black paint, I'm going to paint the top edge of the scallop, trying not to get it on the sides where I stained. After I do that, I'll use my foam brush and the black paint to paint inside that rectangle line that I have on the base of the tray. Now, when you're done painting, you can immediately pull up the painter's tape. That's what I prefer to do. So I'll just take the painter's tape up. If you have any mistakes, you can sand them off, or you could just put decor on top of it. And here's how the tray turned out. Hey guys, I'm Liz and you're watching my second DIY channel where I post daily DIY videos. You may be familiar with my main channel, Liz Fenwick DIY, but I'm glad that you found me over here on my second channel. Make sure that you're subscribed so you just get notified every day when I post our daily DIY video.